seems very inclusive. I mean, one minute he's saying that he wants white, America to be like 80% white or whatever he says. And then the next he's talking about how he loves all people, and it's a little bit murky. It's a little bit murky. And so when I saw him in a clip say explicitly, and it's explicit, that he didn't care what color you were. And by the way, he prefaced it by saying, I know this is going to get me in trouble. So it wasn't like he was just speaking and, phrased it incorrectly. This was a planned thing for him to say, or at least in the moment, he was at least thinking a sentence ahead, and said that I know this is going to be controversial, but I don't care what color you are. If you are, well, let's play the clip. I'll play the clip. Let's see here. Okay.
Get some backbone. Get the courage of your convictions. If you're out there, and by the way, I don't care what color you are. I know maybe that's going to be controversial on my side. But seriously, if you have citizenship, if you were born in this country, this is your birthright. This is our lives. This is our rights. This is our heritage. It's our tax dollars. It's our government. It's our military. This is our country.
So that's pretty explicit. I don't care what color you are. If you were born here, if you have citizenship, this is our country. This is our, he uses the word birthright. Now, in this environment where I'm seeing a acceptance of Nick into the mainstream, a toning down of the rhetoric when he's in these interviews. And again, I'm excusing all these things away. I'm saying, well, he's trying to, whatever, he's being strategic or whatever. And then I hear him say something like this, where he's explicitly saying birthright. He's explicitly saying, I don't care what color you are. If you're born here, if you have citizenship. Well, what does that mean exactly? Because these things matter. This is kind of a big deal. This is a big part of what we are fighting for. Not just in America, but in white countries everywhere. This is the line that we have been fighting for years to draw. This is the distinction we have been fighting for years to make into the minds of the people that we are trying to influence into actually voting for their own interests, or at least acting in their own interests. To stop viewing everyone else as a legitimate citizen of their country because they have some kind of piece of paper saying that they're American, saying that they're German, saying, whatever. This is a big fucking deal. And you are 1,000% explicit about that. And you should be shit on for saying that. You should get pushback for saying that. And if that's not what you meant, you should clarify that's not what you meant. But you said it. You 100% said it. Now, I tweeted this clip out and I said, what was the exact words? It was something like, what are we doing here now? Birthright citizen, or no, is it birthright or nationalism? Well, I'll look it up. What did I say? That's the funny thing is like, it wasn't even that, I wasn't even being that much of a dick. I wasn't like, oh, Nick's an evil fuck. I said, so now it's anchor baby nationalism. That's what I said. Because by definition, that's what it is. That's what it is. If you were born here, I don't care what color you are. If you were born here, if you're a citizen, by definition, that includes anchor babies. By definition, that includes people like Vivek. And given the toning down of the rhetoric in these mainstream interviews and the kind of loosey-goosey past that we've experienced, and it just has been, sorry guys, hate to break it to you, he hasn't been, like, sure, one day he's explicitly pro-white, the next day he's shitting on white nationalists and saying how good fucking a schizophrenic nigger who sucked off his own cousin, he should be president. So how am I supposed to take that? Right? So I tweet that out. Now here's the part of the story you haven't heard. Arval, who also got thrown under the bus, who I literally never talked to in my life until that stream, which was planned weeks ago, by the way. That's the other thing. That stream with Arval was planned like 2, because it got postponed. You guys, if you listen to the show, you probably remember me saying, "Oh, I'm going to be on with Arval," like by the end of the week, and we didn't do it. Right? That was the same time, and I literally never talked to the guy. But anyway, Arval apparently also understood it to mean the same thing, because I wasn't the only one that took it to mean this. Lots of people took it the same way I did. That was like, hey, well, hold on there, buddy. I mean, if you mean what you say, and I try to mean what I say, and you speak professionally for a living, so I would think that you would have the ability to, and the self-awareness to know what you were saying, then this is a problem. And lots of people pointed this out. It wasn't just me. And Arval also saw it, was concerned, and he DM'd him and said, hey, I need some clarification on this so I can, defend you. Like this is concerning for me. I don't know what his exact words, but it was something along those lines, right? You can watch. He did like a 20. I think he was way too diplomatic about it, but he posted like a 20-minute video or something explaining, the whole situation. And Nick's response is basically, you're dead to me. And it's funny because a lot of people were like, oh, well, I didn't know that Arval DM'd him and they had talked about it. And that's the response he got. Arval's not the only one that had a DM conversation with Nick. And since I'm dead to him, let's have a little, you want to know what was said? I'll tell you what was said. Wasn't too crazy. You tell me if I was out of line here. So I tweet out, again, so now it's anchor baby nationalism. That's it. Not Nick's a traitor. Not I knew it. Nothing like that. Pretty benign. Definite pushback on a red line for me. He DMs me, like the next day. Do you really think this was a good faith interpretation of what I said? This is after it's been out on the internet and he hasn't responded to any, again, it's not just me. This is after it's been on the internet for over 24 hours. He hasn't, clarified his statement. And I replied, of course, or I wouldn't have said it. There aren't a whole lot of ways you can interpret someone saying they don't care about a person's race, but if they are a citizen, they have the same birthright as anyone else. And you preface the statement by acknowledging it would be controversial. So it's not like it was a throwaway line, and I'm hardly the only one that interpreted it that way. If you meant something different from what you said, I'm all ears. I've always tried to be fair to you in the past. But even many groypers interpreted it like I did and are busily telling me why it's a good thing in my replies, which is true. I'm not the lone psycho that twisted Nick's words. No, he said exactly what he said. And what I said he said is exactly what he said. And which is why a lot of confused groypers who had to suddenly shift their position on just turn on a fucking dime because, the dear leader had a major position shift and they had to go along with it. We're defending exactly that position. Now, there were a few that were like, well, he didn't really mean it, you know, but you could tell there was nervousness. A lot of them fucking thought that's what he meant, and were trying to defend it from that point of view. I continued and said, and by the way, you know I'm not one of these jealous spurgs calling you a catboy, Sephardic beaner, or whatever, even if a chunk of my audience would like nothing more for them, or nothing more than for me to do exactly that. All things considered, you're white enough for me, but my family has been here since the first Dutch and English colonists, and this kind of thing, this kind of big tent thing, is just a red line, even if it seems impractical not to pander to non-whites. You have to acknowledge that there is a reasonable cloud of suspicion that develops when someone is propelled into the mainstream, and a valid concern that compromises might accompany that. Which is, look, we've seen it a million times. We've seen it a million fucking times. Someone goes mainstream, all of a sudden they're not radical anymore, right? So that's not an unusual concern to have. Compromising on demographics, this is back to my DM, compromising on demographics is just not something I can get behind. But again, if you meant something else, I'm sure lots of people would love to hear you explain it. I'm sure there are lots of people itching to see you fail for the sake of seeing you fail, but I'm not one of them. So I made it clear. Look, maybe you meant something different than what you said, but you said this. It's a valid concern for people like me to think that you might be making compromises to be more palatable to the mainstream. That's a totally normal fucking concern to have. I made it clear, look, I'm not one of these guys that just wants you to fucking burn because they hate your personality or whatever. I don't talk shit about you, even though there's people in my audience that want me to talk shit about you. I still don't do it. I'm not one of these people that wants to just watch you fail for the sake of watching you fail. If you didn't mean this, just say you didn't mean it. His response to my extremely fair concerns were, have a nice life. To which I replied, right back at you. And that was, I think, Saturday. Before I streamed with Arval. And then I did the stream with Arval. And I might have said a couple snippy things because I was probably in a bad mood about Groypers and Nick or something like that. But I still didn't go ham. Even then, I didn't go ham. I was just like, you know. So that's, now you know the full story. Now you know the full story. I wasn't trying to ankle bite or shit on him or what is it? What the tall poppy thing or whatever the fuck he's trying to say. They're like, oh, we get popular and they try to cut us down. No, I told him, like, look, just if that's not what you meant, explain it. Notice how, by the way, he's never said that's not what he meant. He's never apologized. He's never said, maybe I worded it weirdly or badly. No. What has he said? He's acting incredulous. That's what he's done. His response is, why would you think I meant that? How could anyone think I meant that? I've been so pro-white. How could you think that? He never says, I didn't mean that. What am I supposed to explain it? Put an asterisk on it? It's like, no, dude, you literally said that if you don't care what color someone is, if they're born in America and they have citizenship, that it's their birthright. Those are the words you used. And if all you had done, if you're trying to be this big coalition builder, and this is part of your strategy to include brown people, but Devin Stack questions one of the things you say, or Arval questions one of the things you say. Two white guys, pro-white guys, been doing this a long time, just as long as you, Nick. And I've been right a lot fucking longer than you have been when you were still sucking up the fucking Zion Don. And what do? Under the bus. Under the bus. You're dead to me. And the real reason is, let's just be real, Nick. The real reason is, in both the cases of me and Arval and anyone else, it's because you were wrong. It's because you were wrong, and you don't want allies, you want admirers. You want people that just bend the fucking knee and suck up to you. And so when you find people that aren't going to do that, and you're so used to that, because a lot of people do that, there's people that hate you that suck up to you bad. There's people you hate that suck up to you bad. So when someone's not going to suck up to you, it's a problem. It's a problem, isn't it? So yeah, it doesn't matter that I'm dead to him. I was already dead to him. It really doesn't fucking matter. Nothing about my life is going to change. And whatever, you know. I tried to be cool about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with what, you know, my response. I was just honest. You know, he said, he said, do you really think this is good faith interpretation of what I said? All right, you want good faith? This is good faith. Good faith is, you did say that. You did say that. If you didn't mean that, I'm willing to hear what you actually meant. Here's why this is a big deal for me. All reasonable things. You know, I am founding stock American. I do want this, you know, being white to be a part of what it means to be American. It increasingly doesn't matter. This is a red line for me. It appears that you're crossing that line. Maybe I'm wrong. That's why I'm pointing this out. It's not because I'm one of these people that wants to see you destroyed or whatever. So what is it? What did I miss? So now you guys know. That's what he did to Arval. Look, Arval didn't even, like I said, he didn't even publicly say anything. He just privately said, hey, this is what it sounds like. What did you mean? And that was too much for him. So it kind of tells me he did mean to say that. And he's mad there was pushback. He did mean to say that. He's mad there was pushback. He had to walk it back. Politicians do this all the time. Politicians will say something, usually on a weekend. Yeah, usually when there's a couple days for it to go through the media and people to talk about it, so they can see, you know, where does it go? What are all the different, you know, what's everyone going to say about, you know, Trump used to do this all the time. Trump would say something crazy, you know, on a Friday. Sometimes it would go away by Monday, sometimes it wouldn't. But he said what he said. All he would have to do if he didn't mean that, all a normal person would do, is just say, I didn't mean that. Oh, well, there you go. He didn't mean it. In fact, it'd make me look like dumb, right? Oh, egg on my face. Sorry. No, that's not what he would say. No. So anyway, that's it. That's the thing. I don't really care about it. I know there's people that do. But I don't really give a shit. He was never like my leader. I've never been a griper. I've never been like I've never been America first. That's never been my thing. To the extent that he existed, like I said, in this sphere, I recognized the influence they had, and you know, and I watched the show sometimes until it got really, like I said, kind of de-radicalizing and multicultural in a sense. You know, it was starting to get a little too lovey-dovey with the non-whites, you know, and you know, whatever, right? So yeah, we'll see what happens. I suspect that he did mean it. It got pushed back. He didn't like, and maybe he'll trend more in that direction at a future date, or maybe not. I who knows? Because he won't. You know, he's not telling us. So he's just trying to throw us all under the bus. Anyone that challenged him. And look, there obviously the reason why he's doing that is he's trying to set the tone. I've done entire episodes about how, cult behavior and how this is very similar to, like when Owen Benjamin would just ban anyone who disagreed with him, right? And creating this climate of fear in the Bears, where if you ever disagreed with him, you would get banned. And so everyone stopped disagreeing with him because they didn't want to get banned. It's the same sort of a thing. It's a fall in line or you'll be dead to me. Like that works on some people. Weak people. Weak, sniveling, weaselly people. It's not going to work on me. Anyway, let's take a look at entropy.